Hi, this is Graphically Alex coming at you with all things fat related. If that's something that interests you, please subscribe. I'd love to have you. So today we're going to do a little reaction to this video about flying while fat. I wanted to go ahead and talk about it and also talk a little bit about my experience flying while mid, as although I am very swollen and I have been eating like a hog over the past week, I think I'm still mid. I do. I didn't actually go up a shirt size or anything, like I'm still okay. But I was so horrified by my flight experience for so many reasons. And let me just say, hold on. I need my wand. American Airlines, we got beef. It's done. It's over. We are broken up with. We're broken. Never coming back. Ever. I am never flying American again. Unless if it's like super cheap, and then I'd have to be like, okay, I'm going to have a horrible experience. Like I'd have to just really set the intention that I'm going to have a horrible experience. So you know you're mid when your biggest issue with flying becomes the airline. Your girl made it. I have to say from the get-go, there was no tortured lesbianism during this flight. During any of the flights I went on, I wasn't nervous to go to the airport. I wasn't nervous to sit anywhere. I wasn't nervous about anything other than making connections and getting off the ground. And if the plane was even going to work. Those are just some clues. I'm not going to get into the whole experience because it isn't related to weight, which is crazy. And I think that is what needs to be said more than anything. I was fine. I didn't have any issues. Most of the time I wore my Georgie sweater, which I feel like it really repelled people, and they were like not wanting to sit next to me when I wore that because I think it makes me look bigger. And it's just a really loud color that I think people just can't handle, and it works so well, and it's amazing to get picked up at the airport in it and everything. Like, I gotta keep that yellow vibe. I might keep that Georgie hoodie forever just for the flights alone because they get cold and stuff. But yeah, I didn't really even have to sit next to people that much. The only time I struggled size-wise was my last flight on American Eagle. It's like a very tiny plane. And that was like, girl, you're still big. That's kind of what it told me. But I also think, I'm taller. I'm a taller girly pop. So some of it's never going to go away, So I think it's just really interesting to have pretty much divorced fatness from my flight experience, even if I still felt very mid on the planes and stuff, but it is what it is, So let's go ahead and start this. And I will talk about it as we go. I do have a lot of experience flying while fat, flying while super morbidly obese. I've done it many times. So I want to hear what they have to say.
Thank you for waiting, ladies and gentlemen. Please proceed for boarding.
Oh, it's Britishy. I didn't know that. It's from Liverpool. University of Liverpool. Liverpool.
Thank you.
So real. First and foremost, I haven't had to do that in a long time. I didn't have to do that in my tortured era in August when I was becoming the albatross. That was one of the first things, was I didn't need that. I didn't need it. And before I flew in August, I was having like a panic attack the entire way there. The entire way. Like I have to drive, like sometimes depending on what airport I go to, you have to drive like a couple hours. And the airport I was driving to, I was freaking out the entire car ride because I was terrified of getting on a plane. And I always had to ask for seatbelt extender, always. And I would just do it up front, but I would also do it while I was sitting there if I needed to. But even since Albatross, since Tortured August, I didn't have to. I was, becoming small fat. I didn't have to. And then I certainly didn't now. It was not even a question.
Can I have a seatbelt extender, please? Yes, sure. Thanks.
And I will say that I'm still, like, not a petite person at all. And as my weight is more normal, like I'm, I'll just say around 250 at 6'1". I don't know what I weigh now. I'm probably like I said, hella bloated. I probably gained some weight on the trip. Like, I don't know. We'll find out. I'll have to see, like in a week or whatever. But basically, I could still fit pretty well. I'm like, the seats are not as small as I thought they were. So, I don't know. It's really more so, at this point, it's more the legroom issue, which is typical if you're on the taller side.
Crew, please prepare for takeoff.
Okay. Are you just a rebel? You didn't put the seatbelt on at all? Oh, no, they did. Oh, no, they did. Okay. I blocked that part out. Okay, first of all, I'm really tired. Part of my horrible experience is I only got about 3 hours of sleep last night due to a mixed connection. Not mixed. Missed. Thank you, American. Like, that isn't uncommon at all. That's super common. Used to happen all the time. I used to work at the airport back in 2018. And I worked with a company that worked with American. And guess what? This type of shit happened all the time. And they tried to blame it on the panorama. And I was like, that's gaslighting. You guys had this issue in 2018. And I'm going to talk shit about that airline. Like I said, I literally have beef now. So, once you've been betrayed by an airline, I feel like it gives you the right to talk shit. And so I'm going to. Anyways, okay.
Crew, please prepare
Sorry.
for takeoff.
Sorry, it's still fresh. I'm just letting you know why I'm tired. And why I was hungrier today and why I ate more again today, because some of us had a fasting experience that we didn't sign up for.
I love to fly. I really love flying. And my only stress...
Okay, who the hell loves flying? Bullshit. Sorry. I mean, I think it's kind of cool when you take off and land, but everything else about it sucks, other than getting to a location quickly, comparatively to the past.
The flying comes from interaction with other people. It's like I
Oh.
have a hyper awareness of my body at all times. And
Yeah, that was horrible. So I think this is a pretty good capture of the emotional quality of being fat on a plane.
People don't have to think about. They don't have to think about their space and how much or little they're taking up. And I'm always trying not to burden someone else with my body. It's nerve-wracking.
So I think that that's definitely the perception, but we were kind of blessed. A lot of the flights I was on, they weren't full, which maybe there's reasons why, but I'm going to let that go for now. Gonna let it go. Just for now. But it's like, okay, I was sitting next to a guy, like, there was nobody in the middle. And I was sitting next to somebody, and he was like 6'4". He weighed like 230, very muscular. He was struggling to fit, and somebody literally like there was like a Karen experience where this one lady, she like went up to him and she was like, why are you laying your seat back? That's so rude or whatever, to like the person behind him. And he wasn't even doing that. It's just that he was a big guy and it was like squishing the seat back. So it's like, I don't think this is just a fat thing. Like I said, and that lady was fat, by the way, that called him out. So it was really weird. And he ended up throwing shade at her weight. Like it was kind of like, it was drama. It was tea. I was kind of living for it. I'm not going to lie. It was kind of like I kind of wish I had recorded it, but oh well. Could have been a little viral moment. You know, Gen Z meets Karen at the airport. It was wild. But anyways, he was like, I think he said something like, it wouldn't hurt you to lose a few pounds. He said something like that because she got all like, it was just so extra. It was so extra just in general. Cause she, like I said, she was like mad that his seat was back. So it's like, again, I don't know what is with sometimes like the fat thing. I don't know. I wish I could like know what was going on in that situation. I feel like there were so many like social, political, like just not discrimination, but I forgot what the word is. I can't think of the word. My brain is not working. Biases? Something? Categorization? I don't know. I can't think of it. Profiling, maybe. I don't know. Something. Like there was so much going on. But I think it was definitely Karen in the wrong, as it wasn't even her seat he was in front of. She was like speaking up for somebody else. Like it was really weird. And the point is like he had somebody call out his size basically in a way that has literally nothing to do with anything. So this is not just a fat issue. It's a plain issue, and it's apparently a little bit of a Karen issue too. It's people have issues with space on planes, or there's like that superiority complex of like, I take up less space on the plane, so I'm better than you. That's not necessarily going to go away. You know, like even if I lose all the weight, I'm still not petite. I'm still relatively broad-shouldered and tall. And like I said, I'm still not going to have leg room. And when somebody put the seat back on that American Eagle flight, it hurt my knees. It was digging into my knees. And I wanted to have a Karen moment so bad. But those flights are short and I just dealt with it. But it's like, you know, that's what it is to fly. Like, and being fat, yeah, it sucks on a plane. It does. But again, it's not the only struggle you can have on a plane. And in my case, losing the weight is not going to solve all my issues with planes. It's just not.
I have the same experiences I think every fat person has, you know, walking onto the plane.
When the other passengers look at you and you get the expression.
Being gazed at by everyone on the plane who's like
hoping and praying.
Holding their breath and hoping that you're not coming to sit next to them.
That's real. That's real. I don't think people were that way as a mid. I think people were just very indifferent or like ambivalent, or like you're just kind of met like this. Like that's the expression I got. So I'm like, I don't feel anything with that. And I think people just probably thought I looked like crap, basically. Like I was kind of in a brat moment. I was kind of bratty. My hair was a huge mess. I was wearing Georgie. I didn't give a fuck. I probably have stink face on my face. Like I'm usually irritated because the person in front of me is taking too long, and I'm just like, I just want to get to my seat. Like get the fuck out of my way. Like I kind of have that type of look. It's not exactly like the most welcoming thing or vibe. I'm not like the warmest person. So I'm usually like holding my bag and I'm just like, and then like if I'm trying not to hit people. Like, I'm trying to just, like, not have my bag, like, hit somebody in the face, basically. And I just, usually you're frazzled. Usually I've been, like, sometimes running, sometimes almost not making connecting flights because of a certain airline, sometimes flat out not making them through no fault of my own. But anyways, usually you're frazzled, is what I'm trying to say. Most people don't do well with airports. They freak out like crazy. I used to work in one, so I have like airport intuition. And I'm really good with airports because I worked in one, but most people are not that way. And so a lot of people freak out. They freak. So people are not at their best in an airport. And admittedly, the Karen/Gen Z incident may have occurred because of a certain airline treating us horribly at that moment. For example, the air conditioning going out for a while and us being on that tarmac for quite a while. I'm not going to tell the whole story because I don't want to. But I'm being very, very chapel. I'm being very mid-sized princessy. I'm being very stereotypically feminine and beating around the bush and saying, I don't want to talk about it, but then keep mentioning it. And you're just going to have to deal with it. You're just going to have to deal with it. I'm a girly pop. This is what we do. Okay? Okay. We understand. Okay.
Worst that ever happened, it was this one flight. I picked the window seat. I pre-boarded so I wouldn't be in.
Okay, some advice for the fatties. It's better to get the aisle, in my opinion. The window, I don't know. It really gets smushy. And sometimes, honestly, I know this is like against all sacrosanct. But a lot of the time, I was actually more comfortable in the middle. Which I know that's horrible because it probably like really, I'd have like my butt cheeks would kind of flow under a little bit. And I'd still be really careful and try to like hold myself in and like do all this stuff. And it was kind of okay, kind of, not really. But it wasn't bad enough to where I'd get kicked off the plane, I'll put it to you that way. And I did have people irritate with me and stuff. But, it was horrible. It's horrible all around, but basically it was more comfortable in the middle because sometimes the aisle is painful too because that thing really digs into your leg. And then, like I said, the window, it can be kind of smushy too. So I don't know. I do agree with people. It's better to buy 2 seats if you can. I obviously was broke and whatever, and it was a lot. I didn't fly very often when I was really, really big, but I did in 2022, and it was a horrible experience. That's when I was like 370. It was awful. But most of my flying experiences, I weighed 315, 350, like a little bit less. I'm trying to think. I didn't fly that much for a long time. So I think I'd say like 315, I guess, which is kind of like mid-fat. Not super, but flying super was horrible, which that was when I was like 380, or 370, 380 in that range. Ooh, honey. And that was in 2022. That was hard. That was horrible. That's why I was so scared to fly again at like 285 in August, maybe 280. It was like around there, 280 to 290 in that range. I was really scared, but it was completely fine. And then now at like 250-ish, it was just nothing. It was so easy.
In the way, and I was settled in my seat, and this woman, she was so petite, but she was still complaining about having to sit next to me loudly.
I have sat next to somebody who was openly hostile about sitting next to a fat person, even if I didn't bump into
I
it.
will say, I haven't seen tons of fat people on the planes lately. I don't know if it's just something I'm not seeing, but I haven't seen it. you know? When I flew in 2022, luckily I flew Southwest, and so people would try their best to like have a petite person sit next to me, and you know, like you try to make things work. Most people are pretty copacetic, or they try to like make things less frictional in general. So again, I think there is just kind of like, I hate how a lot of times when fat activists talk about this, there's a lot of like blaming of everyone else and deflection and like all this stuff. And it's like, it's everyone else's fault that you feel this way. When in reality, if you look at it like from a non-disordered point of view, like I did in 2022, as I was out of my disorder, just still hugely fat, I could see I could see the situation neutrally. And like I said, most of the time people were trying to be copacetic or trying to make it where everybody could be comfortable. So I just don't like how often they frame it as an us versus them thing. And most of the time, even when butt creepage would touch other people and stuff and it was uncomfortable and it was horrible, people just dealt with it in silence. And I don't know if that's because maybe they were intimidated or something, but I don't know. It is what it is. All I can tell you is what happened, you know. I've never had somebody actively like freak out. I'm not saying that never happens, but I'm saying it never happened to me, but I tried. And I also just I accepted that how it was like very gray. And there could be people that can't stand me for doing it, but I was still gonna fly because I had to, basically. It was just horrible. But when you're super morbidly obese, there's a lot of those types of things where it's like catch-22s. There's like all this other stuff. You know what I mean? Like you have to constantly make decisions and you have to constantly deliberate on what you're going to do. And that is so annoying. And I'm going to keep calling that fat noise. But that's kind of beyond fat noise because there's a lot of like big health decisions you have to make too a lot of the time. Like you have to sometimes take medication that can be risky, but you have to because you're so big that's risky too. You know what I mean? It's like there's a lot of these different deliberations that occur as a super morbidly obese person, and flights is just one thing. And I feel like it's something that so many fat people, especially fat activists, focus on because it's just an easy little thing when typically you're not flying every day. You have all these other life decisions, all these other considerations that you're constantly making, but it's easy to just deflect it onto like flying. Because honestly, it's a needle in a haystack. It's one thing in a sea of other things that you're dealing with constantly when you're super morbidly obese. It's horrible.
Him, you know, I strained my whole body to practically pitch myself out the seat on the other side.
I had a guy once like slam the arm down in between us, which is really painful. Somebody slamming something into the side of your body hurt.
And the first thing he did is want to put down the arm. And he saw that doing that was excruciating for me.
And he kept pushing the arm down, which was like pushing into my belly and my thigh.
She was yelling at me, you know, you need to move. I'm not going to sit next to you. She called over the stewardess, tried to get the stewardess to move me.
But he refused to even like sit in the seat. He like came down, dropped his bag in a big old huff, went swimming upstream to go loudly complain to the stewardess.
For him, I was just a beast.
In an airplane, unlike in every other part of our daily life,
Was this all on American Airlines? And I'm just kidding. I just had to say that.
Itself is so commodified.
It's crowded and uncomfortable, and it just feels like...
Okay, but also you are very big and you're way outside of an outlier. Like you're a total outlier. So it's something that's not necessarily going to be standardized towards you. Like I said, being mid, I can see that the seat sizes, at least width, it's pretty generous. Honestly. Length, not so much. I don't think 6'1" is like super tall. I don't. And it's really uncomfortable leg-wise. So I think lengthwise is probably less gracious. I know that there are still like, you know, the average height or whatever for a man is like 5'9" or something in the US, but still, I don't think 6'1" should be, I don't think that that's that far. Like, I'm just saying, I'm going to complain about it. There's something else to complain about. I'm still a mid-sized princess. I got to find the new thing, right? And I'm just saying, it's definitely, I think, a bit of a struggle lengthwise more than width. I think it's pretty generous because, like I said, I'm mid. I am not small at all. I am not petite at all. And I think it's pretty generous. And as I continue to lose, I will probably like have zero issue whatsoever. You know what I'm saying? And even like that really big guy I was talking about, the one that was like 6'4", 230, whatever. Total like gym guy, gym bro type. He was not having an issue necessarily width wise. And he was broad shouldered and stuff. But I'm talking about like the actual seat. It's pretty decent. So, I mean, I'm just saying, I have to give a little bit of credit where it's due, okay? But obviously, lengthwise, it was like horrible for him. It's bad for me. I'm just saying.
This hostile environment.
Everyone is fully aware of how much money they spent on those specific.
You cannot control your height. But you do not have to be super morbidly obese. I'm going to keep saying that because honestly, only people who are super morbidly obese are going to have these types of issues on a plane. Because I was still morbid in August and I didn't have an issue. And like I said, I'm not a small person. I don't know. Get it together.
Also, if you don't fit, it makes it even worse.
I think there's some really hardwired ideas in our brain about what's fair. And I think that when it's a small place and everyone's deciding what piece they should have, when they look over and they see someone who's so much bigger than them, who has no choice but to take more than their fair share.
And there's sort of a culture
That's not true. There is a choice. You can buy another seat. So I don't know what the gaslighting of not having a choice is. You know, I wasn't able to buy another seat because I didn't have the money. So I just did it and hope for the best. But if people were pissed, I was going to understand it. It is what it is, you know?
Flying while fat, that you shouldn't be here, you shouldn't be on this plane, you're taking up too much
that's not too far for me. 385 they said.
Up too much.
I was probably right around there. You know, without all my clothes on and everything, I was probably 380 in 2022. I could have been kicked off the plane. I was terrified of getting kicked off the plane. I was terrified. But, you know, trying your best to be copacetic, trying your best, it goes a long way. Just shutting up, it goes a long way.
Whether they're conscious of it or not, the energy directed at me with resistance and anger and disdain for my size is.
I don't think it's right. I forgot to mention this earlier, but I don't think it's right to slam the arm into somebody. But, like, no. I don't think... I could see, like, wanting to put it down, but slamming it is not okay, in my opinion.
Amplified pretty dramatically.
Just the fact of not fitting in the seats, that's the worst of it. Even though I know it's a conscious choice to make the seats small enough that they can get so many seats on the plane and get more money out of each flight, it's on the
Look at what they're talking about. 18, 18.5, 16.5. So do you think that, which I'm not even sure how accurate this is, I don't really want to look this up right now because the point I'm making doesn't have anything to do with it. So we're talking about supposedly a 2-inch difference from 1990 till now. Supposedly. How much weight does it take to make 2 inches? And how much excess weight do you have to make that not fit? Do you get what I'm saying? It's the tiniest little things, little pebbles, little peas, like the mid-sized princess energy they have. Honey, most of the time when you're super morbidly obese, you got way more than 2 inches to lose. I'm going to keep it real with you. Okay? Let's just be so real.
Plane and get more money out of each flight, it still makes me feel like less of a person.
So if I could take the average thin passenger that is angry that they have to sit next to a fat person, and if I could show them one thing that might humanize fat people to them.
From the minute I get on the plane, I mostly just ignore everybody. I get into my seat and I sort of lean into it.
How we're all kind of rocket scientists at spatial relations. How mindful we are of other people's space.
So I don't think you can actually like make that broad of a generalization around all fat people. I do think that there are plenty who are that way. But like I said, there are bitchy people on planes no matter what. People are usually not at their best. And that kind of goes all around. So you have to kind of like, you have to just, I don't know. I don't even know what I was trying to say. I'm too tired. I'm going on for too long. Ugh. I guess you just have to be aware that like, it doesn't always matter how you act on a flight. People can just be crazy for no reason sometimes. There's something in the air. There's something about it. Again, I worked at an airport. It was like that all the time. Drives you nuts.
The person sitting beside me recognizes that I'm doing what I can to be as unobtrusive as I can, and it makes me feel better. It's like I can breathe a sigh of relief. But for the most part, my tactic is to kind of hug myself and squeeze into the window and stare out the whole flight and just sort of disappear.
Not just for your benefit as like the person next to us, but for our safety, because we don't want to be abused. We just want to get from point A to point B without physical pain or being harassed.
We're all in a strange public interaction.
Like I said, I still had some. But I had a lot less after losing weight. It was a lot less. You might suggest that to somebody. But you didn't hear from me.
That is prompted by the constriction of space. Our public decorum has been broken, and all we know how to do is to break our own civility based on standard lines of hatred. So, yeah, this guy is going to hate the fat lady next to him.
So I don't necessarily...
And the fat 72-year-old Karen is going to hate the tall Jim Bro 27-year-old. I don't know how their ages both came up in that argument, but it did. Even though she's not even sitting next to him. I just don't know that there's always rational thought processes on a plane. That's all I'm trying to say.
know if there's like some way to fix this, unless people learn that it's okay to be different.
You could lose the weight. You could buy 2 tickets, 2 seats. Don't ever say a solution. Don't ever say a solution. That's rule number 1. Now that's the toxic ritualistic in this video. If only there was some solution. Oh, honey, there's 2. Lose the weight. buy another seat. Whew. Mind blown. My broke ass lost the weight.
Long time off goal, you know? That's a deep psychological cultural change goal. That's
Yeah, it's you trying to fight reality and stay in a delusion. It's pretty wild.
Like, how do you fix people being okay with people being different sizes and maybe not getting an equal share, but having that still mean they get their fair share?
You can lose the weight or you can buy another seat. You can buy two.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Please remain seated until the seatbelt signs above your head have been switched off.
Wow. That was really extra. So, let me know what you guys think. If I said anything crazy or offensive or anything, it's American Airlines' fault. That's all I have to say. So take it up with them. You can call their customer service. Like, I'ma have to. Okay? Your girl has graduated. My biggest issue was the airline. It wasn't my weight. Welcome to the mids. Welcome. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.